If you want to build workflows and automations in N8N, then it's very important that you understand how to set up MCP servers and how to use them, because doing so can not only help speed up building out workflows, but it makes your AI agents and assistants a lot more powerful. So what you're seeing here on my computer screen are two different AI agent nodes that do the exact same thing with the exact same system. However, this one is set up to use the system through an API call, and this one is set up to use the external system through an MCP server. And whenever I say system, the tool that we're using today is called Tavly, that basically allows our AI agents to connect to the web, so it can do things like search, crawl, or scrape, and things like that. So if you look here in the Tavly documentation, right, without an MCP server, if I wanted to have access to this search function, then I would have to come here. This here is the whole entire curl request. So I'd copy this, I'd come here, and I would set up an HTTP node under the tool for my AI agent. Now I've already done so. So if you see here, I've already imported the whole request. So it's a post request, it's to the search function, right? So that means that I'm not using the extract or the crawl or the map. So if I want all of these other functions that Tavly is capable of, I have to go ahead and I have to set up multiple API requests for this one AI agent. And if you look here in the tools, you'll see here, okay, query, this here's the thing that we're searching for. So if I bounce back here to the documentation, you see query, who is Leo Messi. Another thing, for example, is max results, right? So if you want to return one result or 3 or 5 from the web search, you can specify how many results you want to return. Well, here in N8N, same thing, I can specify max results. The way that I have it set up here is that if the user asks for a certain amount of results, then the AI agent node will input the amount of results the user wants. Otherwise, it'll just default to 3. So as you see here, the API request is flexible. However, it's a lot more rigid, right? So for example, if I'm back here in the documentation, you see that Tavly gives us the option to include an image. Now, in the API request that I set up, I did not specify that. So by default, it's going to be false. Now I could include it and make my AI agent turn it to true if it was requested by the user. So let's go ahead and run a quick test here. So I'm gonna go ahead and connect this chat node, and I'm gonna say, who was the first person to walk on the moon? I'm gonna go ahead and send that, and our AI agent node is gonna go ahead and execute this API call right here. And as you see, here's a response. The first person to walk on the moon was Neil Armstrong, and it gave us a couple different items here. It gave us Wikipedia. It gave us 2 Wikipedia links and 1 history, and it has the links here, so I can go ahead and check these. And as you see, it gave me 3. I didn't specify, so by default, I had a default to 3 searches. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the MCP version. So I'm gonna connect it, and this time I'm going to start by saying, I'm gonna say, list me the tools you have. I'm gonna send it to the AI agent. The AI agent's gonna go ahead and it's going to run this MCP list tool node here. And let's see what it comes back with. All right, so our AI agent responded. It says, here are the tools I have access to. It has access to Tavly search, as we saw. It has access to Tavly extract, crawl, and map. So unlike the first node here that only had the API request to search, by connecting to this one MCP tool and listing everything, we see that we have the ability to contact all of these tools. And we don't have to come here and set up each one of these tools as a separate API request, because we're plugging straight into the Tavly MCP server. Now what this node did is, I open it, you see here that the operation that it did is that it listed the tools. It basically lets the AI know what tools you have access to, and it gives a lot of context as to how the AI can go about executing as well. Now, with that said, there's also a Tavly execute tool here. So while the first tool is just telling the AI agent all the tools it has available, this tool is responsible for doing the actual execution, meaning that this tool will do the actual lookup. So with my chat node connected here, if I type in the exact same search and I hit send, we see the AI agent's working on it. I'm using the 4.0 mini model here. It's going through the list tools to get all the tools it can do. And then now here, it's going to go ahead and execute the actual search for us. Perfect. And just like that, again, the first person to walk on the moon was Neil Armstrong. Now you'll also see I didn't specify how much results to give me back. So it gave me back 5 results by default here. So give me some Wikipedia links, Royal Museum link, right? Give me a couple different resources here to look at. Okay, so now that you understand really the benefit of using the MCP servers, how exactly do you go about setting it up? Well, first of all, one link I am going to include in the description below is this GitHub repository that has a long list of different software systems that have MCP servers that you can connect straight into. We are using the Tavly one right here. So if I go ahead and click on this, it'll bring up this GitHub repository here. And if you scroll down a little further, you see that there's different examples on setting this up. Now, one thing important to mention, before you can actually go about setting up these MCPs, you do have to have the community node installed. Now, in order to use the MCP servers, you do have to have the community node installed, but installing it's pretty easy. This here is the link to it, and I'll definitely make sure I include it in the description below. But essentially, all you have to do to install it is you click on install, you're gonna paste it in here, you're gonna hit I understand and hit install, and just like that, it will go ahead and install this for you. Once you have it installed, if you click here on tools, and I type in MCP, you'll see here, so there's two MCP tools that come up. Now, N8N did release its own MCP client tool. However, the community tool is still one of the most widely used ones because it's a lot more flexible and allows you to plug into a lot more MCP servers. And you know it's a community node because it has this little box here. When I hover my mouse over it, you see here that it says that this node is from our community. All right, so I'm gonna click on this. It's gonna drag it down to separate it. If I click on open, I already have it set up, but if I was setting it up again, all I would do is I'd come here, click on create new credential, and when I go back over to GitHub, and you're gonna see here the command is npx. So I'm gonna click on npx, I'm gonna copy it, I'm gonna paste that here. Arguments, same thing, we see args, this is short for arguments. We're gonna copy this -y, gonna paste that there. And we're going to copy this here, right in between the quotes here. And we're going to paste that as well. For the environments, right? So the environments, as you see, env, short for environments, is the API key from Tavly. So basically all I would do is I'd go into my Tavly account, I would copy the API key that I have, and I'd paste it. However, do note that not all MCP servers are kind of set up the same way. So in order to set up the API key correctly in this case, you have to copy this here, this Tavly underscore API underscore key equals. I'm going to come back here and I change it to expression. I'm going to paste this here. So it's Tavly underscore API underscore key equals. And then you would paste in the API key here and then you would hit save. Some MCP servers can be a little confusing when setting it up. I actually made the mistake of directly pasting in the API key here in the environments without putting in this first, and it was not working for me. And basically all I did was I copied the URL to this GitHub repository, I sent it to ChatGPT, and I basically had it help me set it up, and it found that this is actually what was needed before you put in the API key. Okay, so once we have it installed, right, what you're gonna do is you're gonna come here, and for operation, you wanna go ahead and click on list tools. And what I do to keep it simple, I'm just gonna go ahead and click on duplicate. And when you open, this one's gonna be set to execute tool. Okay, so for the tool name, right? So what I did here, and I'll also make this available, right? You're basically just gonna paste in this, but you're just gonna tell the AI the tool selected. And then for the tool parameters, you're just gonna click on the symbol here that lets the AI do it automatically. I'm gonna do it right here. So yeah, this symbol here, just gonna click on that. But there was actually an N8N update where that disappeared for some reason. So I'll definitely also make sure to include the short code for this as well so your AI agent can work properly. All right, so I'm gonna just delete those because I have these already. So that's basically a quick breakdown for MCP servers. And it just occurred to me I didn't explain what MCP meant, but it actually means Model Context Protocol. So it basically, again, it allows your AI agent, your LLM model to connect directly into the servers of third-party systems so that instead of you having to specify what you want or set up these APIs in the bodies, your AI agent can just talk directly to that third-party server and get the information that you want. It's a lot easier than setting up an API request, and it's a lot more flexible as well. Anyway, I hope this video has been valuable. I will include this here as a template just so you can get familiar with setting up these MCP servers and Tavly as well. Also, do check out the other N8N templates that I've made, as well as the link to Tavly and the link to the GitHub repository and the link to the community node so you can set this up for yourself. I'll see you in the next video.